Hello everybody and welcome to a special edition video from the Dominion blog, and I'm here with pretty much anyone who wants to join in, and we're going to be talking about the Dominion Renaissance previews. We're going to talk about all of them briefly, and what it all means, and whether Renaissance is a hoax. That part's a joke. Anyway, as you can see on the side of the video, people will just randomly pop in, and like right there. So you can see who's talking at all times. So it's
except one guy's in disguise.
Yeah, RTT's hat there is not RTT's hat. That is that's Xerix. But
That's he.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
I could change it back for the sake of your video.
Okay,
that helps. Thanks.
No,
I think Xerix won, so RTT should be the one who has to change his name.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I will do after this.
All right.
This recording.
All right. Well, let's get started. So we're gonna start with Mountain Village. A couple of these will be out of order but they'll be in order of the day previews. Like they'll be in order of the previews, but some of the cards within the day might be out of order. So if you're triggered by that, I'm sorry. So the first card we're going to talk about is Mountain Village. It costs 4 plus 2 actions. Look through your discard pile and put a card from it into your hand, and if you can't, plus 1 card. So we'll just go around. We'll start with our TT. We'll just talk about Mountain Village for a little bit. So
yeah, and initially when I read the card first, I thought you always get the choice to draw the card instead of picking up from the discard pile. Like that would be insanely much better. And then I got to play with it a bit, and the downside is sometimes real, that you have to pick up some junk, but other times it's amazing.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, if you have the choice, you probably want a mixture of mountain villages and sort of your normal +1 card villages. Obviously, it'll be interesting when you don't have that choice, but, if it's the only village, you just kind of got to soldier on. Like, people play with Shantytown and stuff.
Okay. What about with like decks like with say Torturer? Is this going to be a real pain with decks like
Torturer goes to hand. Oh, you mean the discard attack?
Yeah, there could be.
Curse goes to hand.
It'll go to hand, but you could discard for one.
Yeah,
I guess you could circumvent it by discarding a Torturer, but like that's the same thing. So.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it seems like it'd be annoying. It seems like
a boon and a hex.
Yeah, like it seems like a Villa type with the.
Plus, I mean, does the deck have trashing? Because if not, Mountain Village is still great at fishing up all the torturers from the card at the opportune time.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if Mountain Village is the only village, then you're gonna buy it anyways, and it kind of sucks. But you want to play more than 1 torture at a turn, so.
I don't think it's One Ring Minstrel level great in every deck.
Okay. Is this the card that Harbinger has always wanted to be?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. This card's
it's for sure fixed Harbinger. Yeah.
Harbinger's so bad. All right.
If Harbinger had the choice between picking up from the discard and just drawing a card if you don't want to, then Harbinger would be pretty good.
Yeah, it would.
Probably 4 cost then.
Probably. Does anyone have any thoughts on Mountain Village, or we can move on to the next one?
4 stars out of 5.
4 stars out of... Okay, you're gonna rate them all, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I gotta mention that I rate them against their counterparts. So in I compare them to other villages, not in general. Because if I just say from every card in the set or in the game, then every village is kind of 5 stars unless it sucks. So
Yeah, pretty much. Okay.
so 4 stars for the village
All right.
card.
Next, we're up to Experiment. +2 cards, +1 action. Return this to the supply, and when you gain this, gain another experiment. That doesn't come with another, so you can't gain an experiment and just drain the experiments. You can only play fair. So, anyone want to go first as to talking about Experiment and what they think about it?
Well, with my limited play with this at least, it has seemed like one of the strongest openers in the game. Just being able to shuffle on turn 4 after playing a strong card on turn 3 is very strong.
Yeah. If you see that in your turn 3 hand, you are happy, I guess.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, it's funny because, you know, people don't open Expedition that much, but, you know, it's pretty similar effect for your opening. Maybe that means we should open Expedition more.
I don't think that's true.
There's a fairly big difference between opening Expedition and opening Experiment, because if you're opening like Expedition on a 3/4, then you're just getting extra cards in your first shuffle.
Oh yeah, let's just
Whereas
talk about 4/3, I guess.
Experiment is giving you, yeah, on 4/3 we probably should be opening Expedition more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was leading into my next question, I suppose. Is this better or worse than Expedition?
Yeah, you can't workshop an Expedition.
Yes, that's true. So, does that alone make it better? Or?
I mean,
think
you get the Expedition effect right away, which is nice sometimes. That's about the only advantage it has.
Drawing at the start of turn is very strong in terms of the consistency it gives a deck as well. Is something that Expedition has over this.
Okay.
Whereas you're guaranteed to get your 2 cards off of Expedition every turn. Whereas if you're playing a janky Shepherd deck or something, then you're not guaranteed to find your experiments to help you kick off.
Okay.
Experiment has the advantage against discard attacks, where Expedition gets hurt a lot and Experiment is still in your deck. And you can save up on experiments if you want so. So collect them over multiple turns and then get a big mega turn. Hasn't happened to me so far, but I tried it once and lost against a good money strat.
Yeah, I think this card is more of a bootstrap card than anything else, is from what I can tell. Like, using this as your draw is a little dangerous. Like, I guess you could Procession Experiment and then you're fine, because it's not going to die, it'll just go right back. But, like, outside of Procession, like, I don't know. Like, I've yet to see a kingdom where Experiment's the only draw, and it's like an engine. I imagine it's just some oppressive, like, attack board, but I have no real idea. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure there is one that exists.
Bridge Troll is super good with Experiment.
Oh.
The cost reduction works with it, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
You get all the buys you need. And it seemed like it was nearly primary draw level.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you can buy up all the experiments and use them up and then buy them all again, or gain them all again, you're golden. That does work. It's really hard to do though, but Bridge Troll enables that for sure. Absolutely.
I had this game with Tracer where we both just played experiments and then gained them back with Talisman, and Then there was Triumph. It was insane. But Experiment wasn't the only draw there. There was also another card we will talk about soon.
Okay. I guess one more thing I want to talk about with Experiment. There's so many things to talk about with Experiment, and there's going to be even more uncovered as time goes on. I think it's a very versatile, very strong card. I think it's going to be a lot of people's favorite card. But a thing I think a lot of people neglect to talk about is the pile control with Experiment. They're gone in 5 buys or 5 gains. You can kind of somewhat control. You know, like, it's hard to drain, but it's also easy to drain. And I want to ask anybody, really, how easy it would be to do a 3 pile with Experiment, or how hard it might be if you're relying on Experiment for draw.
If you're relying on it for draw, well, that's a hard thing anyway.
Maybe I phrased this question weird. Like just interactions with Experiment and like pile outs in general. Like what's the dynamic? Especially if you're using Experiment to draw somewhat.
Oh well, I guess your opponent did it too, and they lowered the pile, but didn't get any benefit out of it yet, and then you can capitalize.
I mean, the whole pile is what, five gains and $15. That's not that much.
No, it's not.
Like, $15 is a decent amount, but you know, usually you're more limited on the game side of things when you're trying to do pile outs.
Yeah, it's... Oh, sorry. Continue.
On the other hand, if you're not limited by gains in this, then the estate pile is often going to be an easier hit, as being only 16 and coming with points.
Okay. Fair enough. Does anyone else have anything to say about Experiment?
It's great with a lot of cards. I mean, there's the gainers, but there's also the remake, upgrade stuff where you can turn your estates into experiments, and then they're gone and give you a nice boost. I think that's a 5-star card here.
That sounds pretty reasonable, I think. Alright, we're on to Seer. It's a little bit out of order. Normally you'd talk about like Priest first or something. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Seer because that's the order I uploaded it in. So Seer, it costs 5, gives you +1 card, +1 action. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Put the ones costing from $2 to $4 into your hand, and put the rest back in any order. Who would like to start with the Seer discussion?
It's a little better than Cartographer.
Okay, only a little, or?
No, I said that in the live reaction and didn't realize how bonkers it is. It draws, well, in the right deck it draws a lot. Of course, 2 to 4 is a range of cards where usually you have a lot of them. Think about it, how often your village is in the 4-cost slot, and how many cantrips there are in 3 and 2, and it even draws your estates, so that's a nice thing. I think it's especially good when there's copper trashing, and when there's any cantrips in the 3-cost slot, or 2-cost for that matter. So like Merchant, Chariot Race, Pawn, Pearl Diver, all of that stuff.
Especially Chariot Race, because you can rig it so that the expensive cards are going to be on top. I suppose Coppers would be on top too. Only
works with copper trashing somewhat reliably.
Okay. So what's the dynamic with Like, let's say you're greening with Seer. You can't draw the provinces, you can't draw the duchies or fairgrounds or points. So, does Seer get weaker than a normal draw card when you're greening, or is it about the same, or is it still better?
What? Me again? Of course it gets worse.
I mean, yeah, it gets worse.
Yes,
like,
but
It's worse, but well, it doesn't draw
does
4
it get
cards anymore, it draws 3.
does it get worse than, say, like Hunting Party or Lab, or is it still better as an alternative?
I mean, the comparison is best comparison is like to Apothecary probably, which dies I think probably even more hard. So there you go. It's more resilient than Apothecary.
Well, yeah, Apothecary dies real quick.
Apothecary draws you stop cards though.
Yeah, I think Seer will last a little bit longer than Apothecary.
Long enough for 6-ish provinces easily. And by that point, it's usually over.
Okay. Alright. Anyone else?
Silver ended up pretty awesome with Seer. I was surprised by how much better silvers felt than golds when I was playing with that card.
How much?
Very impactful.
How much better?
I mean, in a relative sense, I don't know if a silver was straight up better than a gold, but gaining silvers was definitely better than gaining golds when I was playing with it, which makes sense. They cost the right amount.
It's also easier to gain silvers usually.
Yes. I think I heard I think Mick, I'm not sure. Somebody said something like they wouldn't be gaining silver over gold if they had the chance with Seer.
Yeah, if it's for the same cost.
Yeah, like they would.
I don't know.
But that being said, silver is pretty nice to draw with Seer.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to silver flood just because I have a few Seers in my deck, but I'm also not sad about a few silvers in the deck.
Ooh, cost reduction's kind of a double-edged sword with Seer. I'm thinking about it now. It could be pretty great with 5 costs and stuff, but then you're not drawing your estates, and you're still not drawing copper. So probably overall it's worse, but I'm not sure.
You should probably get rid of your estates. This is my pro advice about Dominion.
Yeah.
You should trash your coppers.
Draw itself is a big deal with cost reduction. My only experience was with Fairy, but man, Fairy on Seer was incredible.
Yeah, that sounds good, because it's selective. It's selective. You're not doing it all. It's just the Seers you're drawing, which sounds really good. Is it good enough that, say, you'll just open Fairy Seer on any given board? Do you think? Like, I haven't tested it out.
You can't say that about any card in Dominion.
Yeah, that's true, but
not on any given board. They will edge case you.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking about it, right? Because you can pull your estates, make your next turns better, potentially hit 5. Yeah, now my mind is like I need to stop talking about it.
You probably open like remake Fairy on Seer rather than Seer Fairy on Seer. That's a good edge case for you.
Okay.
There's a lot of edge cases, I guess, but you don't even have to hit 5 in the following turns. Just hit 3. Get 3 Seers, and then you hit.
Well, you hit everything.
5 eventually, and Seer is a good card to have.
Okay. Any last thoughts on Seer, or?
Yeah, 5 stars.
5 stars? Okay. So you think it's like better than Lab, or worse than Lab, or?
Better.
Okay.
Yeah, Lab's not that great.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few boards where Lab is better than this when there's like the only 3 costs you really want in the deck is silver. I guess you get Labs over Seer. Maybe you still get a Seer because they're great, but you don't load up on them.
Okay. So now we're gonna move on to the last card of day 1, and that will be Priest. Priest with the fantastic napalm colored background. You can relive your Vietnam days while looking at Priest. So it costs 4. gives you 2 coins. $2. I never know what to say. It's like dollars, coins, gold. Trash money. Yeah, there's this bucks. Dukats. Trash a card from your hand for the rest of this turn. When you trash a card, plus 2 coins. And who would like to fire off first with Priest?
Sure. I mean, it's Trasher. Trashers are great. I think it's very strong, and it's just like your opening Trasher better than something like a Salvager or a Moneylender or something like that. The other important thing about it is the sort of exponential scaling of the payload, where you can get a bunch of priests in hand and then trash things and get a ton of money. And I'm not. I mean, I don't think any of us have played enough games to really get a sense for how often that's going to be something you really need to build towards. But it'll definitely be some of the time.
Doesn't
how math works?
Doesn't that sort of run into the vampire problem though with the bats, where you need fuel for your priests?
Yeah, but I mean, vampire is like one of the best cards in Dominion, so you work around these things.
Okay. How good is Priest as a solo trasher, just by itself?
I mean, it's probably the second best $4 trasher, just off the top of my head.
Behind, say, Remake or Sacrifice, or
we're just calling about 1-card trashers.
Okay, 1-card trashers.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you put $3 in, then you get. I mean, Mask is better, Amp is better.
There's Necromancer. There's a lot of good 4 costs.
Yeah.
Really, in the end, though, these are all very good cards, and we're going to buy them.
Yeah.
Like a board with Priest and Spice Merchant or something, you're going to use both.
Do you? If there's no village? Well, yeah, you do. You want the estate.
That's a big problem with Priest, I think, is that it's terminal.
It gets a lot better when there's villages, yeah.
Yes. Without villages, well, unless you have, well, you're not going to at all. I was thinking Imp, but Imp doesn't work. And then Conclave's a village.
Well,
so.
Yeah, there's a few cards where you can activate the ability without village support.
Yeah, there's Bonfire. You bonfire 2 cards and you actually gain $1.
But where did your buy come from?
Yeah, so you have to also have buy.
There's counterfeit and gold.
So
Mint is pretty sweet. You can turn all of your treasures into a giant pile of money if you've got a big day.
So you can melt all your copper into 1-turn clump. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty good. You buy, I don't know, platinum or something, go to town.
Sure, if you can do it. It's a little hard, but sure. Like, what kind of other combo? I mean, I know they're combos. Why am I saying? I'm not even gonna pretend. Like, what kind of combos are there with Priest? Like, there's like I've seen people talk about Traveling Fair with Watchtower as a potential Priest combo. Does anyone want to talk about that, or any other kind of potential combos you can do with Priest?
I want to talk about it to make the claim that I was the first person in the world to get the Priest Watchtower Traveling Fair combo. I think that happened.
Okay.
And I totally missed out on the thing where you open Watchtower Priest, and then you just hope to instantly free file on turn 3 or turn 4.
Does that? I don't think that works because I've tried it. You would need
your third pile.
Your third pile would have to be like ruins. Yeah, it would have to be a
ruins versus coppers.
Where did your points come from?
You might be able to get away with Poorhouse.
Buy one estate.
You might be able to get away with Poorhouse, but you definitely can't get away with Estate. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work with Poorhouse because you're spending 3 to get a buy in the Poorhouse, and then
you would have need 10 coins in hand.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking. But, yeah. It works with ruins. I know that. Because I emptied the copper. I tried this for fun. And, I really bugged out the system. Like, it would take, a full-on 30 seconds for the system to register each copper trash because the watchtower over and over and over would lose track of the copper. And I trashed, like, all 44 of them. It was really funny.
You need a macro for this, I think. Stuff needs to implement Dominion macros.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Okay. Enough of that. It comes probably up once in a lifetime if you play all random.
Probably.
I mean, it's once every 1,000 games. It's not like bad.
What? Traveling
for
fair.
3-card combo. Well, I mean, it'll be less often now with more cards, but
More cards, and you also need a village to really make it happen. Or something. To play more than one priest, I guess, to make it winning.
Right.
yeah, or
At this point, you're just
but
emptying piles.
I mean, there's a lot of villages in Dominion. Like, it's not. It's what 66% or something of games have a village. I can't remember Aki's stat on this.
Feels a lot less for me.
If only Aku joined us. If only he joined us today.
It's okay. I'll be pretend Aku.
Fortress is also a pretty good combo for this.
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't run out of fuels and you have the village.
Yeah, that does sound really good. But yeah, priest in general. There's usually something you can do with priest. It's always worth looking out for.
We can always trash cards with it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that it works.
It's a borderline good card, even without the effect, and the effect makes it a nice build around.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice where you're always trashing copper no matter what.
Yeah, how often do you open Salvager for early thinning? And that's
the big thing is like your Salvager, whatever.
Well, Salvager gets better late game by itself, just because you can blow up.
I don't open it for the late game.
You don't?
I don't open a card just because it's good in the late game.
Yeah, that's true, but it retain. Okay, why am I arguing this? All right. Any last thoughts on priest?
4 stars.
4 stars. What about the art for priest?
Well, 1 star.
Okay. I think I just ignore the background. Like, I think the art's alright, but everyone seems to hate it. Everyone just.
I'll go 3 stars on the art.
Oh, we should have been rating the art. Whatever. So next we're gonna talk about day 2. We got acting troupe. Speaking of bad art.
We totally missed Scholar, but who cares?
Scholar. Scholar.
Also Sculptor.
Scholar.
Oh wait, that's day 2.
Scholar.
Discard your hand +7.
It's like your avatar.
Yeah, no. Oh no, did I forget Scholar? Fuck. I forgot Scholar. I'll get Scholar. I'll get it while we're talking. Let's talk about acting troupe first. We're gonna talk about villager tokens. RTT. Let's talk about villager tokens. Acting troupe. +4 villagers. Whoa, what's a villager? Trash this. And it's cost 3. So RTT, take it away while I scramble to find Scholar.
Well,
jeez.
I guess everyone can guess what villagers are. They are the tokens that give you a +1 action effect. You can spend them whenever you feel like it in your action phase. And acting troupe gives you a whole bunch of them, but you can only play this once and then it's trashed.
Okay, Scholar just popped up on the screen. I'm gonna blank it out. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue. I found it. I just forgot to upload it. Okay. So villagers are they're basically coffers for actions, as Single T calls them, affers, I think.
I like offers. I'm a
Yeah.
little upset we didn't get official offers.
Yeah, it's or just call it action tokens. I like why do we have to call coin tokens coffers? Like it became a meme for a while. It's just coffers because it felt like a needless change.
Yeah, well, it's mostly the +1 thing. It's like if you called, on like page, it said +1 cards, +1 actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
+1 actioners.
Okay. All right, so acting troupe. We're going to talk about acting troupe as a village. It's kind of like a terminal village in a sense. You have a limited amount of actions. How often is this relevant?
I mean, I think it's pretty great. It reminds me a lot of Coin of the Realm, which is like one of the very best cards, I think. Just because you can build your deck in a different way, where you just put a bunch of things on your mat or on your other mat, and then later just let it rip with playing a bunch of really powerful terminals.
I want to remind chat, anyone can join in at any time. Anyone can talk at any point, because we got some new people in, and I just want to make sure that they know that they can talk if they want. I'm sorry, continue. Unless there's no continuing to be continued, I guess not. Okay. So how, again, I'm gonna ask how often like the terminalness of acting troupe comes in, like
Why is it? Oh,
like they're you play a village once, you have it forever in your deck, barring any unfortunate wars or something. You'll play a village, alright, you get +1 action forever. Well, you play an acting troupe, you get +4 villagers, and then once those are gone, that's it. So you do simple math. Acting troupe, there's 10 in a pile, +4 villagers, that's 40. So 20 between each player, assuming split goes 5-5. Is someone using 20 actions in a game? Like, is stuff going to start running out? Is that a problem? Has that ever come up, do you think?
you have to build around it. A lot of actions use more than 20 coin. A lot of decks use more than 20 actions in a given game. But those wouldn't use them if they were limited on villages.
Yeah, you gotta stop faffing around with your terminal silvers and whatnot.
Yeah, get a little more money in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you want draw cards mostly. Those are like the things you really need to play terminally.
Okay. How good of a village in general is acting troupe?
Pretty good for the inconsistent decks, I think.
Okay.
Like your deck that is not quite streamlined, you don't have the greatest treasure, and you still want to play a bunch of good terminals because they're amazing. Then this is here to save your day.
Okay. And of course we can talk about cards that dig stuff from the trash, like Rogue or Grave Robber, to get more acting troops if you need them. Or, the most awesome combo of all, you have Necromancer, which can play an acting troop every single turn. So you'll never run out of actions, really. So there are those combos to make acting troop more infinite than it normally would be. Is there anything I'm missing with acting troupe? It's a simple card, but it's got a lot going on, I think, with the villagers and the flexibility.
I mean, the one thing to point out is that it has the same drawback as Coin of the Realm does, which is that it doesn't draw. So if you're in a kingdom there's no hand size increasing, it's going to be worse.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't draw is only for the time you play it, but like your villagers, they don't. They kind of draw. Like if you play this and use one of the villagers right away. That one didn't draw, but all the other times you use the
Well, if you
villagers
play it
in
and
the
you want
next
to use
turn.
it as a village right away, that's like you played a necro and then you get 2 villages, right? That's not like amazing.
Okay.
Pretty good, I'd say. Necro plus 2 villagers.
Well, acting troupe is certainly good as a supplemental, but as the only village, it can maybe it can be a problem again. We mentioned having to build around that. So don't be stupid. Don't burn all your villages immediately, I guess.
And don't only buy.
Don't burn them all.
cards.
Don't burn them all to have a 28 coin turn with your diadem. Don't do that. Well, do it if it ends the game, but otherwise, maybe don't do that. I don't know. It's your deck, man. You do whatever you want with it. I'm not your mom. Any last thoughts on acting troupe before we move on to Scholar?
I think you really nailed it down by saying that you're not our mom. I think that really tied it together.
Okay.
3 stars.
3 stars. Okay. So we're on to Scholar, which is when we were gonna talk about Scholar, it was in the discard phase, but now we're on the draw 7 cards because I found Scholar. So Scholar is a draw to X variant. It's some pretty sick art. Even if blue hair didn't exist back in the day, who cares? It's cost 5. Discard your hand plus 7 cards. Very, very simple. In fact, that's a big theme with this set that Donald has brought up multiple times. He wanted to go back to being simple. He kind of complained about how complicated Nocturne was, and he wanted to go. He's always been a simple man with simple pleasures. So he wanted to go back. Hey, that's not funny. It is a little. But he wanted to go back to more simpler cards. And well, look at that. 3 words. 3 words. Scholar. Discard your hand. So.
Isn't that 4 words? Plus 7 cards.
Okay, whatever. So. What's the deal with Scholar? Is it like Library? Is it better? Is it worse? Is this just another draw to X card? Is it anything special? Take it away, chat.
I think draw to X is pretty awesome when it handles your cards that you can't get out of your hand for you. Like, it's pretty nice that unlike Library, this doesn't get clogged up on your jump, and I think that makes it a lot better.
Okay. That sounds like a take I would agree with. RTT, do you disagree, or do you agree?
I agree, TT.
How long have you been sitting on that one?
That just so came to my mind.
Okay, that was funny.
But I made a whole video about Scholar versus Library, and came around the same conclusion. It's better in almost any case when Library would be good.
Power creep into minion. Look out!
Oh yeah.
Your base set's ruined now. You have to buy new cards. Oh no.
There's one more point I didn't mention there that came to my mind. It's a bit worse when you have like cards that depend on each other, and you want to find them together. Because you
Like
discard
Treasure
them, discard one of them. Yeah,
Like Treasure Map, the card. This Treasure Map. This is the card you buy all the time.
I don't know, tournament with your province, or what else? Ambassador with your only junk. Urchin with another attack. No,
The
Urchin, you
worst
can't play
example. I mean, it's an example, but I'm playing Scholar to get treasure maps lined up. Oh, that's exciting.
You have
mean,
7 cards to look for them. You know, it sounds all right.
Yeah, you are probably getting around to them anyway, once again. But sometimes it hurts to discard your, I don't know, your King's Court maybe. You know, you have King's Court Scholar in hand.
Now I'm thinking about...
What do you do? Do you King's Court the Scholar?
Now I'm thinking about, like, Scholar tunnel money with, like, teacher plus card... you have an 8-card search space to find tunnels and discard them for gold.
Scholar treasure map.
There's really not a lot to talk about with Scholar. I mean, I really like the card, but I mean, it's just like Library 2.0 more or less. How more, like, just for the inclusion of this card, how often do you think we're going to be seeing more draw to X? Because people seem to like draw to X, even though it's a little rare. Does just the inclusion of one card in like 3 expansions make draw to X?
Well, we got Cursed Village. That was pretty good.
Okay.
We finally got the draw to X village.
Okay.
There's a lot of cards that work well with Cursed Village. Storeroom. Great.
Okay, so we need to compile a deck with Library, Scholar, Cursed Village, Watchtower, Minion.
Yeah, I expect draw to X being up on a rise, because villagers really help it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think villagers help Scholar way more than they help, say, like, Library, probably. Library's fine, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Any last thoughts on Scholar before we move on?
Yeah, it's another 4 stars.
Okay. We're on to the next card, Sculptor. I'm going to go out and say it right now. I think Sculptor is a very... I think it's a card that people are going to be talking about for a while. So it costs 5. Gain a card to your hand, costing up to 4. If it's a treasure, plus 1 villager. So does anyone new want to take this one on and give their thoughts about it? Like Kaplane or Seer Lundy or something. Or Tufte. Or even Panama Camel. We got RT.
Sure, I'll do it.
Sure, okay. Awesome. Talk about
It's
Sculptor.
pretty impressive in the games that I played with it. I mean, obviously it's good with a lot of Renaissance cards, like great with Experiment and such. But I was impressed. Gaining villages to your hand is awesome if you want a lot of villages, because it's basically non-terminal at that point. Ability of getting treasures for action tokens I liked. I don't know. I was impressed by this as a workshop variant.
Okay, anyone else?
What variant? The workshop variant?
Yeah, that's what Panama said.
That's what he said. Yeah.
It's a cobbler variant. It's fixed
comparison.
cobbler.
For me, it's an explorer variant, but
Really?
Well,
Why?
cobbler is an explorer variant.
I always think about
Cobbler
it,
is not an explorer variant.
I always think of Sculptor as an explorer variant, and the benefit is that it can also gain you action tokens, and it can also gain you action cards if you need them.
So it's not an explorer variant.
Why not? It's so much better.
I would say it's Cobbler come to life. It's Cobbler. It's fixed Cobbler. Cobbler is awful.
Yeah.
Cobbler
It
could,
really
you know,
just points out all the problems with cobbler.
like Cobbler, you know, if you need it, you need it. But Sculptor is like Cobbler on steroids. The only problem, of course, is that it's terminal, but you usually don't care.
It's not even terminal if you
Yeah.
want to. You can always gain the silver if you really want to play this and something else and don't have the actions for it. Well, probably silver isn't the worst thing in the world if you get it to hand.
No. So a lot of people I've talked to about Sculptor, they seem to be down on it. Is there like they're not very excited about the idea of Sculptor? Of course, they also tend to miss that it's gain to hand. That's they just see it gains. I point out it gains to hand, and then they're still like, oh, but you get villagers when you gain the treasure. That's so dumb. Like they get mad about it because it's frustrating. Do you think there's like you think this card is like deceptively good? Is it all that good?
It's all around good.
It's all around good.
I mean, it would of course be better if it gains the villager anyway, or gains the villager if you gain an action, but then it's not. It's more interesting that way.
Okay.
Gain the villagers.
I mean, just put the +1 action token on it. You know, like problem solved.
Okay.
yeah. If we're gonna put lost starts on Sculptor, there you go. Then it's then you can use it to gain silvers, and then you have 2 actions.
I mean, you know, it's a workshop that draws. That's pretty good. Like, you're just always gaining mills, or you can gain things that are better than mills.
I think the hottest take I've seen with Sculptor is that it's worse than Armory. I think I've heard that one. I don't think
Armory is garbage.
Armory is pretty bad. Armory's great with procession, but like otherwise it's meh. Well, it's okay.
Armory's fine if there's something good to gain.
Yeah.
I mean, the main problem with Armory is that, like, you know, sometimes you want to gain something that is not draw or a village, and then it's bad.
Yeah. So, let's talk about something a little bit weird. Sculptor is your only village.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I tried that. It was actually the same game where I tried the experiment megaturn. Maybe that was actually the problem.
Maybe. For certain though, it's got to be worth it because you know, you sacrifice 1 turn, but it's kind of like a ranger for actions, right? Like, you gain 1 treasure, but then you don't have to.
As your only
like
village?
A ranger said, like +2 cards on it instead of +5.
A little bit. I think it's an interesting mechanic, though. Like, if you gain a treasure, you just convert your action into a villager, which you can then burn or save, which I think is an interesting way to think about it. Also...
Is it the weakest village in Dominion? Like, in terms of the village effect?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of.
Ghost still has to compete.
I'm trying to think of like a smart ass answer, but nothing's really coming to mind. Probably Prince Ruined Village is a pretty bad village. But it still does more work than this. It's just harder to get to.
Prince Ruined Village takes the Ruined Village out of your deck too. That's pretty good.
Until you bought the Ruined Village to make it
an $8 one-shot trade route.
This is... I don't even think this is like the worst village. Think about a game where you don't have draw. There, you don't really need that many villages anyway, and you get like 2-3 villagers over the course of the game, and that's exactly the amount of terminal conditions you have.
Alright, you can play your extra mana bank. Okay.
And you play a money game with a few actions.
Okay, fair enough. Something that hasn't been mentioned with Sculptor as well is actually how great it is with alt treasure. Like, for example, Sculptor, gain a loan. Wow, you just trashed a bunch of cards. Like, that's really nice. You can stack up on loans, kill more loans. You can be debt free with Sculptor, which is hilarious because art doesn't pay a damn thing. Anyway, any last thoughts on Sculptor? Yeah.
Well,
That seems great in money.
I disagree.
I
disagree. I think Sculptor is shit with money.
This gets back to the question of whether it's an Explorer variant or not.
Well, it's not, and that's why it's terrible with money.
Explorer's also terrible with money.
Yeah, but not as bad.
What? This is better than Explorer in money.
It is? Even when Explorer starts getting you golds?
Yeah, when Explorer starts getting you golds, how often are you going to see this gold? Well, that one
At
time.
least once.
But how often does it matter if you gain a gold or a silver to get to 8?
Often enough, I suppose. I don't know. Explorer is bad. Like, Explorer shines best in engines, to be honest. And that's where Sculptor shines too. I think. I don't... Like, I'm not going to play Sculptor money. Like, that sounds so bad. I don't...
Sculptor money.
What appeals to me is the idea that you could just add it to other money, because when it's gaining silvers, and when silver is a card you want, it's non-criminal.
That's
So if you're
exactly
playing-
my idea.
Okay, well, I'm sure Geronimo's already run like 500 simulations on Sculptor, and it's just...
You will never play
It's
Sculptor
inferior
money
to
with-
Smithy. It's inferior to Smithy Big Money, like 35 to 65%. Like, you know,
but
like...
the Sculptor gains you the Smithy, and then you can play it because you have a villager left.
Well, you're gonna have to take that up with Geronimo, aren't you?
Okay.
You're gonna have to yell at him.
Anyway.
I have
you
no
will
idea.
you will never play Sculptor money without other actions, because that's the benefit of Sculptor. You can play other actions with it.
Okay. Any last thoughts on Sculptor?
4.5 stars. I like it really much, but if I say 5 stars, people will say, "Oh, there are so much better cards."
Okay, fair enough. Again, I think there's an element of underratedness to it right now at the moment, and I think I've seen some pretty crazy stuff used with it. And, you know, you could say, well, that's just the Renaissance previews, but really, Dominion's been crazy since the Dark Ages. So, I mean, the Dark Ages were a crazy time. Everything was uncertain.
Death cards all around.
Death carts everywhere. Cultists. Ruins.
Rats eat all your estates.
Yes. Yes. So we're gonna move on.
In fear of the rats autopile.
Rats autopile. No, like there's a game McSeenock played. I think it was Dominion League. Was it League or was it the tournament? But he was like, oh yeah, it'd be funny if I could rats autopile, and then he ended up doing it. That was a real treat. It was a real treat to see. We're gonna talk about Recruiter now. We got Watson talking with I don't know, someone from the 60s, I guess. Recruiter, +2 card, trash a card from your hand, +1 villager per $1 it costs, and it costs 5. All right, right off the gate. How good is Recruiter?
On a scale from 1 to 5. Let's talk about the art real quick.
Okay.
Is the guy in the right the recruiter?
I imagine the guy in the forefront in the armor is the recruiter. I
imagine
assume
he's the one getting recruited.
Yeah, he looks like a recruiter.
No, he's telling.
Recruiting-
No, he's telling, but like, he's pointing at the paper, right? Like he's like, no, sign here. I'm recruiting you.
I think.
Like,
well,
all right.
like the
How many recruitments have you been a part of, RTT? None, exactly. But how many recruitments can you imagine where a guy is pointing at you to sign a paper, but you're the one recruiting?
Maybe they both are a team. You know, he's the recruiter, the other guy is his minion, and the guys in backgrounds are the one who got recruited.
But they're already. Oh, JSH is here. Oh no, JSH, we need your help. Which guy is the recruiter? Is it the guy in the armor, or is it the Page Beatles ripoff guy writing the paper?
It's you, the player.
So the guy's pointing at the paper, but he's not looking at you. But he is implicitly saying, you, the player, must sign this paper.
Sure, that sounds good to me.
But the other guy is writing the paper. So is he writing it live? Is he like writing your name in live, or Because you can't write? Because you're a moron? Because you're a moron? Because it's the Middle Ages and most people can't write? Is that what's going on?
It's the Renaissance.
It's the Renaissance.
Like right in the title.
Middle Ages. Well, maybe you're just a dirty commoner and you still don't know how to write. I don't know.
Okay. For everyone watching this, write in the comments down below who you think is a recruiter. And like and subscribe, of course.
All right, and then
I
we're
also want to say on the art, I think it's pretty neat. The guy is like kind of bent over, the guy who I think is being recruited, with an axe dangling above his head, and it's a trasher. I definitely get a sense that he's not so long for this world.
But the axe isn't facing him. The axe is facing away from him. The axe is facing the guy holding the axe. So is it like a self-own? What's going on? We need answers.
Also, can I put something in here? Like, you recruit things and you turn them into villagers, which is kind of like de-recruiting them.
Okay.
De-recruiting.
Yeah.
Turn your... Okay.
Turn your soldier into 3 villagers.
Okay, I think we need to talk about the actual card. Okay. Recruiter. +2 cards. I already said that. How good is Recruiter? Like, you can make comparisons to, say, Masquerade. You can make comparisons to, say, Junk Dealer, Sentry, like those $5 trash, and then the, Mask, which is a $3 trasher. Like, how good is it of a trasher?
It's better than Masquerade, but it also costs 2 more. So you can't open it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main problem. If it costed less, then...
Well, Junk Dealer costs 5.
I mean, Junk Dealer isn't that great.
What? Get out of here.
5.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Junk Dealer's fantastic. What are you... This is 2018. Where have you been?
I mean, yeah, I've been around for a year of seeing it set at number 2 on that stupid list.
Yes, it's number 2.
I've been fuming.
All right, well, we're gonna have to have a discussion about Junk Dealer then, aren't we?
No. Junk Dealer's fine, but is Recruiter better than Junk Dealer? That's the question.
I think it's not as good, personally, but it's still really good.
JSH has spoken.
Has JSH the same voice as Ray?
It's K. It sounds similar, doesn't it? No, that was KSH. That was KSH giving us his hot take while JSH is away. He's hijacked the account. I would say it's better than Junk Dealer. Screw you, JSH. You're wrong. It's better. It's better.
You trash your estates for +2 actions, and you trash your coppers for nothing.
Yeah, but you're trashing copper.
Sure.
I mean, it's closer to upgrade than Junk Dealer.
You also drew another card. I mean, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Recruiter is only village. Is it good? Probably.
It's fine. You can totally work with it.
Okay.
Just make sure you have some way to...
Hey, hold on.
It works out better than you'd expect as the only village.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Some wisdom.
Especially when you can gain some expensive cards. With, like, Sculptor or... Explorer.
Right.
Explorer, Recruiter, Super Combo.
Explorer, Sculptor, Recruiter.
I did trash golds with Recruiter.
Oh yeah, I've done
before. That feels good.
Yeah, you play a bandit and kill the bandit with a Recruiter.
There are a lot of ways to gain gold.
Oh yeah.
I think it was something like Horde or so. Or... Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Any last thoughts on Recruiter? I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about who's recruiting.
5 stars. 5 stars easily.
Centralizing.
All right.
Yeah.
Centralizing. I agree. Next we're on to Villid, which is honestly some of the most kick-ass Dominion art to ever exist. It's pretty awesome. I don't know. Like, there's a little bit of cheese going on, but like, honestly, it's a good.
Game of Thrones.
It's a good cheese. It's a good cheese. I think it's good. I really like the art. And he can hold a sword right, unlike another character, which will shortly show up. Which we'll talk about when the time comes. But villain, +2 coffers. That's +2 coin tokens for the uninitiated. It has nothing to do with sickness or anything. Each other player with 5 or more cards in hand discards one costing $2 or more, or reveals they can't. So it's a cut purse variant. Yay! What are thoughts generally on villain?
It's pretty impressive.
Coffers?
Coffers.
All I heard was coffers. RTT, you're gonna have to repeat what you said.
Pretty hard if it hits your only 5 cost in the hand early on.
Okay.
If it hits the other villain, damn, it hurts.
Is it a good attack or not so good? Is there like a time where it's good and then it's not so good? Like you could discard the state and you don't care. You could discard a province and you don't care. Is there like a sweet spot in the middle, or?
Yeah, you get lucky and have them not have those cards in hand, I guess. +2 coffers is great all around anyway, so there's few reasons to not pick one up. And then you get a few lucky hits over the course of the game. Of course, it's better when they trash their estates and don't have anything bad to discard.
Right.
I think it's a little bit like Fortune Teller. It's one of those cards you'll just add in because it's an attack. Only it's
when
much
do you
better
hit?
than Fortune Teller.
How often do you really add in Fortune Teller?
Never. You open it or you open it or you don't. And I think that's the end of the discussion with Fortune Teller, usually.
I mean, I think the better comparison is Raider. It's just like a better version of Raider.
Oh, yeah, but is this much better than Raider?
Yes.
Costs less. It gives you coffers. It's better than Raider, let's be honest.
I mean,
Raider's pretty bad.
Raider is trash. Like, Raider is in competition for worst card in Dominion. It's not, but it's close, I think.
Worst 6 cost card, maybe.
It's like one of those. It's one of those cards. It's the new adventurer, I guess, or something. Because it's like people will look at it and they'll do a hot take. They'll be like, "Whoa, maybe this card's really good." And then they use it and then it's terrible. Wow, what a surprise! I think Raider's best case is like donate. That's pretty nice in donate games. The four card hands can really hurt, but then you need also no draw. But then Raider is like, it takes up slots, so it's bad even then. But sometimes you'll do it, I guess. But yeah.
Well, to be fair, you can draw Raider dead and it's okay. Well, you can't say that about Villain. But I think the coffers are enough to push it over Raider in like 90% of cases.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, like, not being a duration is pretty great, too.
There is a nasty trap you can do with Raider. Very nasty trap. You can play with Council Room. I almost said Counting House. You can play with Council Room. Play a Council Room, have 2 Raiders in hand, don't play any of your coppers, play 2 Raiders. And they have to discard 2 cards, and they're likely going to be a Council Room among the casualties. It really kills. It's pretty evil.
But then you play a Council Room Raider deck and don't play your coppers.
Yeah, but that's a small price to pay, and your Raiders give you money, so it's fine.
How did you get to that deck anyway?
I don't know, but Tracer and Lime Time have they've built decks like that.
Why don't you play Governor over Council Room?
Well, if we're gonna talk about more cards being thrown in.
Anyway, all of this Governor also works with Villain.
Yes, it does work with Villain. Not as well if you're playing with a Terminal deck like Council Room, but it works just as well, I suppose, with Governor. But you can't do the trap with like Raider as effectively, because Raider is anything that's in play. Villain is just anything that costs 2. And, well, you're going to be tossing a bunch of silvers around, so it's not nearly as good. But you can get lucky, I suppose.
Alright. Villain worse than Raider. That's the Sebrik's take.
It's not worse than Raider. It's just... I was just thinking about the one-time Raider is just annoying as hell. Villain is worse at that, but I still think you could do it. I'd have to test, though. I'm really not sure. That case never really comes up anyway. Final takes on Villain before we move on to another card.
It's decent, but only 3 stars.
I'd give it 2 stars, but maybe I'm underestimating it a little bit with the coffers. Coffers, the flexibility is nice. But it's like, it's still just 2 coffers. So, like, meh. I don't know. Next we're on to Dukat. Or Ducate. Or it's Dukat. +1 coffers, +1 buy. When you gain this, you may trash a copper from your hand. Thoughts? Anyone? On Dukat?
It's alright.
Yeah, it's alright.
It's a bit boring.
It is a bit boring.
A bit disappointing to have it be so similar to Candlestick Maker, other than the treasures have benefits over actions and so on, and the other way around.
Yeah.
Couldn't there have been something else?
People have been since this came out, people have been looking for like crazy combos with Dukat, and I don't think they've really been all that successful. Like, I know Lime Time was looking pretty hard for Dukat stuff, but it doesn't really work.
Well, at the end of the day, it's also just a copper.
Yeah.
That gives you an extra buy, and you can save the cover. Of course, sometimes it's great. Like your deck, your draw is Seer, and you can't trash coppers otherwise.
It's
you upgrade your coppers.
It's a ruined baker. It's Dukat. It's a ruined baker. With buy, of course. The buy makes it like you're gonna pick it up. It's buy.
Yeah, sure.
Also, you can play Dukats, save up a bunch of tokens, do the terrible baker strategy that sometimes works if you're really if you're playing drunk, and your opponent's just buying a bunch of bakers and saving coin tokens, and then you just slack off and don't score fast enough, then they just beat you. I think everyone's fallen prey to that deck at some point in their Dominion career. It's a career now, even though there's no money involved. Wait, there is money involved.
So I have to think that it's got to be a lot better with workshop variants, right? You know, if you can just gain it mid-turn instead of having to commit your buy to it. But I mean, it's gonna take time.
Is it a lot better though?
Not a lot.
You sacrifice getting something else for exchanging copper into Dukat, and even losing the coin from the copper this turn.
Yeah, it's
And out with remodels. Letting remodels kill coppers effectively is a pretty big game.
Yeah.
Hey, it's probably nice with Hero, because then you can trash a treasure while you're gaining one, so you can get to your champion faster.
Yeah, 1 card faster.
Yes, I mean, it's
pretty good with Chariot Race, because then it costs 2 more than the regular copper.
Oh no. Well, then it's just an estate, so it's pretty bad. Dukat's bad. It's a terrible card, but you'll get it because it's buy. Like, I don't know. Like,
I wouldn't say it's.
I would.
I think it's more like you're usually gonna get one just because of the buy, but it's not anything you're gonna be excited about.
Like, you're not gonna go mass Dukat. You're not gonna buy Dukats. Like, oh, I'm thinning coppers. Well, you thinned your coppers, but you didn't thin your deck. Like, that's...
Of course, there are decks or kingdoms where it's worth it to do it, like Tomb and the one project that will come up. That we will talk about. But in a vacuum, pretty vanilla plus buy card.
Yeah, meh. Okay, I'm done talking about Dukat. Let's talk about the next card.
Oh, let's
which also looks meh.
Let's
but
give it 2 stars first.
I give it
Alright.
1 star. Silk Merchant. Plus 2 cards, plus 1 buy. When you gain or trash this, plus 1 coffers and plus 1 villager, and it costs 4. So we just talked about a really boring card, and this card looks really boring. Is it
really isn't?
It really
looks
isn't.
boring.
It really
It
isn't.
It's
It
amazing.
looks so much worse than it is.
It's a fantastic card.
Or should I say it plays so much better than you think it would.
Yeah, you look at it and you're just like, oh, it's just a moat with a buy slapped on top. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. Yeah.
Buy
What?
is really good.
Who? Yeah, it is.
But also plus 2 cards. It's not too bad.
I feel like buy is the cop out now, where it's like, oh, a card's bad, just slap plus buy on it, and people will have to get it, and then it's like a way to make it okay.
It's also pretty great to have the combination of plus cards plus buy. That's in the history of Dominion cards. That's always been great, right?
Yeah, Margrave, one of the strongest cards in the game. Counselor Room, one of the strongest cards in the game.
Tragic Hero.
Don't forget Trade Route.
Trade Route doesn't draw. Oh wait, no, Trade Route does draw cards. Every trash gains you a lab. I forgot about that.
Pawn.
Pawn. Well, Pawn's not so good.
No, but plus 2 cards plus 1 buy is pretty alright to have on your card that gives you plus buy.
Right.
And then it also comes with this amazing benefit when you gain it.
Yeah, plus 1 coffer, plus 1, but it's just plus 1 coffer, and it's just plus 1 villager. Once you burn that, it's not so good, right?
But maybe
I've been
burning that
surprised
made
by
your
the
deck
mega
better.
turns I've been able to do with it.
Yeah, I'm playing pretend here, like I'm pretending it's bad, but like I can't even
know.
pretend.
Everyone got this. that
Yeah,
you
like
just played.
it's just good. Yeah, you just make it work. Like
I mean,
you could
you
open
just
Silk
sit in
Merchant. Just
you
open
can
Silk
open it
Merchant.
pretty easily.
Yeah, and the
it's
token
like-
helps you spike stuff. It's
You
pretty.
don't even might have to need the villager token right away, because your Silk Merchant won't draw any other actions, and if it does, you are not super sad about it.
Yeah. It's really good, but it's really hard to talk about why it's good without like a specific board in front of you.
You just sit there with your 4 coins and think, what do I really need now? Not even in the opening. What do I really want now for my 4 coins? Another tournament, another, I don't know, Ironmonger, or this card that really gives me the villager for consistency, the coffers that helps me right away. Then you pick the Silk Merchant.
And then you can trash it when it's useless. You can throw it away, and you get more bonus out of it. So
And
there's
you can also trash for benefit it, and then you get another more expensive card.
yeah, it's a very versatile card. I think I think out of all the cards I would expect to see empty often, this has been one of the more surprising ones for sure. You look at this, you're just like, oh, it's Moat Plus. But it's not Moat Plus. It's so much better. Yeah.
It's also pretty good big money card.
Yeah, it's not a bad money card. It's not great, but it's not bad. I mean...
It's not gear, but it's almost there. Better than Smithy.
Right. Okay.
Seer is a glorified moat. That's pretty good.
Seer is a glorified moat?
No, gear.
Oh, gear. Gear is just an orange moat. That's all it is. Yeah, speaking of moat, I'm surprised how often people don't buy moat as draw. Like they just skip it in their mind because they forget moat draws. Like they'll be like, oh, there's no draw on this board, and then they'll build like there's no draw, but there's moat, and then I'll buy moats and I'll just win easy. And it's happened to me too, where I just didn't see moat.
Yeah, I had to play a Hamlet moat engine the other day. That was pretty bad.
Oh, that's horrible.
I was not having fun.
For me, it's like Mining Village. I see Mining Village and I don't think it's a village.
Yeah, we
I don't know why. It's just the art looks not so villagey, and then I play as if there's no village and get completely
That sounds like a really tough time.
Anyway, whoever wants to beat me, Cage Match Mountain Village.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't think Silk Merchant's ever going to suffer that problem of, oh, there's no draw on the board, because you're just going to immediately think crazy combos. I think that's what's going to happen.
I don't. When I see this card, I don't think crazy combos yet. I think solid all-around card, and I want it.
Okay.
It's worth mentioning the amazing synergy with Recruiter.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Really? Is it worth mentioning? Isn't everything great with Recruiter? isn't...
But this especially, because you can trash it.
But can't you trash everything?
Yeah.
Like, can't you trash your cultist when it's gone?
Okay,
your rats.
Okay, you post-dominionist. Alright, so, we're gonna wrap up Silk Merchant. We're gonna wrap up Silk Merchant. We're gonna talk about the next one. Give your rating TT.
5 stars.
5. That sounds reasonable. Next up, we're gonna talk about Flag Bearer.
I'd also say it's a staple. Yeah.
Flag Bearer. Okay.
Flag Bearer?
I mean, I know you're from Germany, but calm down. There's no beer here. It's just bearer. Plus 2 coins. When you gain or trash this, take the flag. What's the flag? Well, the flag is it's an artifact. Artifacts are new. Basically, think Lost in the Woods from Fool, or if you don't even know what that is. Basically, it's a thing that you take it and you do what it says. It's kind of like an event ish. It's pretty intuitive. So you just look at flag. Well, when drawing your hand, plus 1 card, and there's only one of them. So there's only one artifact. So generally, there's a competition to be the guy with the artifact, or in the case of Swashbuckler, be the guy without the artifact. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that ship when it sails. Flag Bearer. So Flag Bearer is nice. When you gain or trash this, you take the flag and then you draw an extra card. It's a perma caravan until it's not.
Call it hireling, the perma caravan nowadays.
Okay, sure.
But it's a bit worse than hireling and caravan because it draws right away and gets discard attacked.
Oh yeah. It's expedition syndrome. It's still got to be better because you're cycling, right? I mean, it's good. Flag Bearer is pretty good. It's nice to draw an extra card.
Card is good.
That doesn't mean the card is good though. Just that the effect would be good if you would have it forever.
Well, just trash it then, and then you get it. You get the flag again. It used to be.
Sure.
It used to be that Flag Bearer was every time you played it, you got the flag. That was chaotic.
Well,
I like this version a lot more.
Thank God it's not that way.
Oh yeah, that would have been miserable. I actually liked it, but I think I would have grown to hate it. This way, it feels more stable. It's like.
What do you guys think about it in multiplayer? I think it seems pretty useless.
Let's not think about multiplayer.
I don't want to think about multiplayer ever again. So is there like an inherent player 2 advantage with flag bearer? Like there's been conversations about that.
No, it's just a second mover advantage. Don't get the flag first, unless you can really expect to trash it before your opponent can. Well,
yeah, it seems like a trap to me. This is my impression.
Flag bearer's a trap.
Mm-hmm. Unless it isn't, because there's
it's a trap unless it's not a trap.
Yeah, unless you have a reason for going for it, and the reason better not be, oh, I hope I keep the flag as long as possible and my opponent doesn't buy flag bearer himself.
I mean, sometimes you're okay with a terminal silver in your deck, but like,
I think I'm okay opening
super often.
I think I'm okay opening flag bearer. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm also okay opening it if my opponent got it before me.
Okay, I don't know. I think there's more to this card, and I think we're going to be seeing more discussions about this in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a trap.
I really like it, but I kind of agree with RTT. It's going to be a trap more often than you'd expect.
Some cards work nice with it. I had a game where Transmogrify was there, and it was pretty decent to be able to gain flag bearers on command or trash them on at the start of your turn, gain something else.
Okay, yeah, and the trash for benefit isn't all that great. I mean, it's only good until your opponent does it back. Alright, I mean, is there anything else to talk about with flag bearer, really? Like, I guess you could talk about, like, opening percentages with, like, calculating draw, because you do get the flag bearer, right? You do draw the 6 cards immediately. So you do, like, assuming you hit 4 on your turn 2, is, like, you could draw 6, which makes your stuff less likely to miss the shuffle, or you're more likely to hit 6 or 5. Like, there's things like that to consider, I suppose. But it really, it depends on the game state, I would imagine. That would be my thought. But it probably would be worth it to do that, I think. Probably. Wow, everyone's silent. I think we're going to move on to the next one. I think we're done with flag bearer.
Let's give this 1.5 stars.
1.5 stars?
Yeah, because there
Really?
are those boards where sometimes it's good.
I would imagine it'd be like 3 or something. We're on to Swashbuckler, and I remember I said earlier we're going to see someone who doesn't know how to hold a sword. Here we go. Swashbuckler, plus 3 cards. If your discard pile has any cards in it, plus 1 coffers. And then if you have at least 4 coffers tokens, that is never not going to be awkward to read or say. If you have at least 4 coffers tokens. Like, why not just coffer tokens? Why does it have to be coffers?
Why not coffee tokens?
Coffee? I'd be okay with coffee tokens. Can I turn them in for a free coffee? That's kind of what that's like a making fun podcast joke. If you have at least 4 coffers tokens, take the treasure chest, and the treasure chest is at the start of your buy phase, gain a gold. Is anyone really going to be pining to?
Why can't it be Coffart token, like with a T in the end instead of the S? Coffart token.
Coffert?
RTT token. That one.
Anyways,
The treasure chest might be nice against Chariot Race to get higher cost cards into your deck.
I thought you didn't want to think about Chariot Race. For those who do not understand, JSH hates Chariot Race with a passion unrivaled since I don't know, whatever rivalry you can think of. So I guess the first question I would have is, how often are you excited to get treasure chest? because I remember reading some hot takes from Tracer, where he's like, this is going to be the card where you're spending coffers just so you don't get the curses into your deck. He said something like that.
Well, nah, it's not that bad, but you really don't want to work that hard for it. I did let Geronimo did simulate for me if Swashbuckler Big Money wants the treasure chest or just wants to spend the coffers right away. And it wants to spend the coffers. It doesn't bother keeping those coffers.
Okay, so it's deceptively hard to get the coffers. And assuming there isn't an alternate way to get coffers, are you going to save the coffers to land treasure chest and an engine? And if so, how often? I mean, you could say, well, it depends on how much you want a gold. And you have to weigh that.
That's pretty much the only thing that it depends on, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be honest, at high level play, I don't see the treasure chest getting gained all that often.
I played a game against Jakey. I think it was like one of the first games with Swashbuckler once the previews dropped. And it was interesting because I did save the tokens because
yeah, but we are talking about high level play here.
No, but it had dominate, so I wanted the golds for dominate consistency, and that's why I was saving the tokens, or trying to. It was so hard to get the tokens to work, though, that I just ended up buying dominate anyways. But I did eventually get the treasure chest, and it did help. So I think that was a case where you would go for treasure chest in an engine, and I think dominate is a good case. Because, enough golds, and you are going to hit dominate quite often, and it's worth saving the tokens for. But outside of that,
dominate, you got your models. There's lots of times when you want gold, but
yeah, I mean, it also didn't help that my only discard was Vassal. I mean, that was hard. And then there's Mountain Village too. So if you wanted to draw with your village, you had to take out of your discard pile. It was just a super, super big hassle. But I did get it to work, turn 18. I got really lucky. There was no trashing either, so it was just a nightmare all around. I think with trashing it would have been a lot easier with Vassal. But if you trash too much, though, JSH left. JSH is back. You tricked us. If you trash too much, you're never going to get coffer out of Swashbuckler. That's kind of another thing. You have to balance your trashing with not trashing if you really want the coffer. Which, do you really want the coffer? Maybe. Probably not.
Do you really want the coffer? Do you rather want a thin deck?
Yeah. There's things you can consider here, and I think there is some subtlety with Swashbuckler, but that's my initial thinking with Swashbuckler. It's a smithy. You'll buy your draw. Sometimes you'll get a coin token out of it. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. You better not save all 4 of them just from Swashbuckler.
You could do it. It depends on the deck, and if you have enough Swashbucklers and you have a controlled deck, you could get your treasure chest rather quickly.
You need some way to control having one card or something in the discard pile, Oasis or dungeon or something. Yeah.
Sometimes there will also just be another source of coin tokens, and then it's easier and more of a decision, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else to talk about with Swashbuckler?
It's a smithy.
It's a smithy.
You will buy it because you want to draw.
Yes.
And yeah, +1 coffers 50% of the time or so is a fine benefit for a Smithy Plus.
Okay. So
4 stars.
4 stars? Okay. Whoops. No. Jumped a little ahead. Alright, so we're on to the last normal Dominion card, and then we're going to be moving on to the projects, which is exciting stuff. But you're going to have to wait. We're going to talk about Moneylender Plus. We're going to talk about Treasurer. Plus 3 coins. Choose one. Trash a treasure from your hand, or gain a treasure from the trash to your hand, or take the key. And the key is, at the start of your turn, plus 1 coin. And I wanted, Donald was going to do his previews. And I wanted him really bad to say, finally, there's a way to get copper from the trash. You know, because you could do that with Thief, but not since Thief got discontinued could you do it. So I was like, you gotta add that. He didn't, obviously. But, yeah, you can get copper from the trash now. All your dreams have come true. Who wants to talk about Treasurer?
I think it's real good.
Yeah, I think it's great. There are people who don't like it because, but I think it's good.
I've not been amazed so far by it. Well, I didn't play that much with it, but the games where I played with it, well, it's very possible that I just played it wrong. But it kind of felt underwhelming to me.
Someone walk me through a situation where you'd want to gain trash from the, or treasure from the trash.
Well, I know of one powerful combo that you're going to have to look at from now on anytime treasure is on the board. And that, of course, is Magic Lamp. Like, you can't ignore 3 wishes gain on command. Like, I'm sorry. Like, Dominion is forever ruined. Like, that's a real thing. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. It breaks.
You can't even do it. Can even gain 6 wishes if your opponent had the lamp activated too.
Yeah.
And you play 2 treasures.
Yeah, you can go nuts. It's crazy.
Also, I mean, sometimes you just need the extra coin for something and you gain the copper from the trash.
Yep.
Into your hand.
There's trash for benefit.
That's something that I overread it the first time. To the treasure you gain from the trash goes to the hand.
Yeah, it does go to the hand. It's pretty useful.
I guess one case is keeping your deck consistent in an apprentice engine. Like you can trash gold and then get it back, and then not have gold clogging your deck, or something.
Yep, there's that. And of course we got to talk about the X factor, the key. And there was a lot of debate in the review squad with the play testing when it came to the review squad. There's a lot of debate among the play testers, especially last footnote on the key. And like all the good players are like, yeah, you don't take the key, you just trash coppers. But there's like a worry that, and this seems just to be the problem with artifacts in general, is that you can just take them. And the key, like, oh, at the start of your turn, +1 coin, and everyone's gonna fight over the key. Is the key really that worth fighting over? Is it not? When is it worth fighting over? Questions like that, I suppose, are worth asking.
I'm not sure exactly what last footnote's worried about. I think that's an interesting aspect of the card, personally.
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea of choice, but he was worried that players would just fight over the key and nobody would get the key coin. And it'd be like, oh, I have to get the key back, and that does sound a little worrying. But I mean,
the thing with the key is like you already if you have treasure, you already have a terminal gold in your deck, so that's pretty good. That's a good amount of money.
Yeah. I actually remember I remember us playing against Lord Rat with Treasurer. It got to open treasure, and it got like 3 provinces by turn 9. I'm like, holy cow, this is like ridiculously good. and then never bought a province again. So, like, I don't know how good Treasure of Money is. I suspect it's good, but I wouldn't know how good.
I guess you take the key when you really need to have more money and can't afford to treasure copper.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like you want to hit 5, but you have 2 coppers and a treasurer.
Right.
The 5 is really good.
Yeah, that could be worth it.
Maybe you should have bought one before you bought your treasurer then.
Maybe. Maybe you want to get thin.
No, you have the key.
Yeah. Exciting. Alright, we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about projects, and we're gonna start with the most simplest, most boring one. So projects are things you buy, you put your cube on it, and then it works forever. You just do it. So it's like a perma event, kind of. So, for example, fair. So fair costs 4. At the start of your turn, +1 buy. Well, you buy a fair. At the start of at the start of your turn for the rest of the game, you get +1 buy. You just do what it says. Another thing that's going to trip people up, I think, is you can only buy 2 projects. You get 2 cubes. You can use those 2 cubes. You can't put them on you can't put 2 on one project. So, so if there's like 4 projects, you can only buy 2 projects. So keep that in mind. That's kind of the only weird nuance. Otherwise, it's pretty intuitive. It's just like, events, except it's perma. So fair is
pretty important for those.
Yeah, so fair is pretty straightforward.
Pretty important for those guys who play.
Fair might honestly be the simplest card in the game, right? You just always get it once you have the opportunity.
Simpler than Smithy?
I think so.
I think JSH is saying you should always open fair.
Open fair. Get buys forever.
I just feel like there's no decision to make. You get fair, now you have a buy.
Yeah, I feel with a lot of those cheap projects, it's pretty much not really a question whether you get them or not. It's just like, well, this game you have 2 buys.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a buy. There's not much to talk about. What you could talk about is, well, when do you get fair? When do you fit it into your deck? Well, when you need more buy. There you go. That's when you do it.
When you can make use out of the buy.
Yeah. That's you buy the buy when you need the buy, or maybe on an off turn where you know you're going to draw your deck, but you somehow stall and hit 5 or in hit 4. Then maybe you'll buy the fair. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think you buy it when you need it. Don't buy it before you need it. That's a great way to lose.
No, it's not that bad even.
I would say so.
It's not that bad like buying a trade route before you need it, or buying.
Trade route you need from the get-go because it trashes. Yeah, fair just literally does nothing for you, but gives you a buy that you're not using for multiple turns, and you could have had an Ironmonger, which could have cycloned into a much more consistent deck. So don't buy fair before you need it. Just make your judgment call. But that being said, it's a buy. You'll buy it when you need it. It's simple, straightforward. I don't know. I don't even know what you would rate it. I mean, it's just a buy. Buy is good.
Yeah, both are hard to rate. I guess get it every game.
Probably. I mean, it's
no.
You'll buy
every game.
You'll buy a Ruin Market, so you'll buy this. I mean, this is way better than
game if you have other sources of buy. There's no reason to buy this.
So, like, people love Ruin Market, so I guess you have to rate this 5 stars. I mean, it's Ruin Market. It's Princed Ruin Market for 4.
I think what RT says is right on. Like, if you have another source to buy, you just don't bother. But it's not like that's an interesting decision.
Yeah. You could buy it anyway. It depends. So now we're on to Silos, which reminds me of the Gorillaz song Stylo. It also costs 4. At the start of your turn, discard any number of coppers revealed and draw that many cards. Revealed is there so you don't cheat. So, silos. Are you going to open silos? You could open silos. You could open steward silos. Discard a bunch of coppers. It sounds alright.
But the other card really has to be like Steward.
Yeah,
or Travelers. It's kind of this or Travelers, then otherwise Silos is a bit open.
If you really want to cycle through your deck immediately, you'll open silos. For sure. I think it's worth...
Yeah, it seems a nice thing to get turn 3 or 4, you know. I think we do that a decent amount of the time.
I think silos is pretty nutso. That being said, you probably still want a thin copper. You probably want to get rid of those copper. So don't think because you have a silos that you're fine, because you're not. You'll just draw more coppers. And you can't cycle through those ones because you already did the cycling. So I don't know. It's good.
It's like a storyteller.
You think it's worth buying in Traveling Fair Counting House decks?
Why would you? You don't need this in Traveling Fair Counting House. I mean, if you have the...
I'm thinking like Night Watchman. You can make it work with Night Watchman. Although, realistically, you're already guaranteed like all the way to 7. And by then the game's over, so like who cares?
Now it's probably a must-buy in Ambassador games, right?
Probably.
Ambassador Silos opening?
Sure, why not? You toss your copper, ditch your estates, get clean immediately, hit 5 almost for sure, and if you don't, you can just cycle until you do.
Looks better than double Ambassador to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting... there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do with silos. And that's the theme of these projects. There's interesting things you can do that you've never really thought about. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. You could use silos maybe in a cultist game. Like, I wouldn't open it, but like after your double silver you hit 4, just buy silos, then you can cycle to your cultists. That could be a thing. Of course, then there's the double-edged sword of, well, you just discarded your economy for not economy, and you can't buy anything.
A bunch of ruins.
Yeah, so like there's that double-edged sword that you have to be careful of, but it's things worth thinking about for sure. Rewards deck tracking. Absolutely rewards deck tracking. So track your deck if you haven't already. I highly recommend it.
It also is a great draw card with Cobbler and Fountain in the game.
So Cobbler to gain more coppers to hand.
Oh, that's disgusting.
It's interesting.
OP with Beggar. OP with Summon Beggar.
Beggars? Yeah, summon. It kind of needs to be summoned or princed. But
summon a beggar and you get to draw a bunch of cards. Oh boy.
How good is it with gear? I guess it's pretty good, right?
Actually.
Well, how about Wharf? It's actually amazing with Wharf, right?
Probably, yeah, because you just draw right through your coppers and... Oh, what about like Workshop Gardens? Just cycle to your workshops. I don't know. That could be exciting.
Don't tell newbies about Workshop.
Yeah, don't do Workshop Gardens. It's bad.
How good is it with
if you're gonna do Workshop Gardens, do...
How good is it with Rebuild?
It's probably really good. You always have bad $4 buys in Rebuild games, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good until you draw all your green with your Rebuild.
Sure.
But how likely is that, I suppose? Also, good luck ever buying 5 again with your silo buy, because you're gonna discard your coppers. Oh, you might find a silver, but you're gonna... I don't know. You might not hit 5 again. I don't know, there's stuff to think about, I think, with silos. Things to
not
test.
Discard the coppers. That is an option.
Yes, that is an option.
No. That's never an option. You just blindly click on it.
If there's a decision, you have to make it. If you have $7, you have to spend $7. You can't buy a pawn. You have to buy the expand, even if it's the worst thing for your deck.
Oh, expand. Can't be
So
the first
imagine
thing.
playing with Highway, summoning Counting House, taking 17 coppers in hand, and then playing Side.
Discard
And then
17
drawing
coppers.
17 more.
Discard
Draw
17
more
copper.
copper.
Discard 17 coppers. Draw 17 more cards. Play Counting House to draw the 17 back. Oh man, you can't lose. That's super great.
Then you buy another copper.
Yeah. Because Dominion's about cycling. It's not about winning. We're going to talk about the next one, I guess. We're going to talk about Sewers. Sewers cost 3. When you trash a card other than with this, you may trash a card from your hand. So basically, you play Chapel, trash your 4 cards, and then you can trash 4 more, except you can't, because you trashed 4. Yeah, bad example, but you know what I mean. You play your trade route, you trash an estate, and you get to trash another estate. That's exciting.
Well, no joke. It makes Trade Route a really good opening.
It makes a lot of cards pretty good.
Yeah. It certainly does. Remake. Ooh, remake Sewers. That's crazy. So you can remake your 2 estates into silver and then your 2 copper into nothing. That's pretty good. Now I want to open remake Sewers. Now I want to try it.
I really don't see a reason ever not opening this when there's another 1 or 2 card treasure on the board.
Oh, wait. Oh, so Swindler? Oh, geez. So you can trash your opponent's card and then you get to trash a card. Whoa.
That's not how that works.
No, they get
No,
treasure
they
card.
get trash.
They do?
Yeah, all trashing attacks are you make them trash it.
You force them to trash something. But
Hmm.
they actually do the trashing. They get the tomb points.
That's nice because it makes Swindler weaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes Chariot Race better though.
All right.
Yeah, Sewers is pretty nice. Combos with Priest, the card earlier. This is a way to get it working without a village.
Doesn't combo with Priest. What are you talking about? Everyone is going mad about this and you tell it's combos with Priest.
Well, it does. You
No.
you play your Priest, you trash a card, and then you get to trash
Yeah.
another card, and you get an extra 2 coins out of it.
No, you don't.
You don't?
You don't.
What?
The-
Why
the
not?
trashing happens before the second part of the card where it says +2 for every trash now.
Bullshit. No way.
There's like a
Yes.
million people posting about this.
Yeah, this came up like 10 times already in the Discord, and
Oh
Steph even-
no!
Steph even made a implemented for the next release a explanation why this doesn't work. in the card.
Oh no! The one card you'd think would combo with this, it doesn't. Jesus Christ! What a PR disaster! Dominion Renaissance, Troubled Waters. Oh man, it's wow.
Guys, I think that Priest Sewers might be Donald's Watergate.
As opposed to Alchemy, which is the time he choked on a pretzel. No, there's a. I'm not gonna explain that joke. It's not worth it. No. Scout was the time Donald choked on a pretzel. Alchemy was Donald's Vietnam. That's the quote. Okay, now I remember. Okay, we're done talking about Sewers. It trashes
let's-
when you trash again. It's good. Get it. Star
No,
chart.
Also,
Oh,
wait.
Okay.
One thing to mention: it also turns cards into deck treasures. Well, that usually are not able to thin.
Oh, like
like-
remodel.
I was thinking more of
Like mine.
Watchtower. Mine is fine, yeah.
Embargo.
Embargo.
Oh
Rats
man,
is pretty decent.
mercenary. Except you don't want to do that because you want to
Nah,
make your opponent.
mercenary.
No, you don't want that because you want your opponent to discard more. But yeah, you could do it with Mercenary.
Transmogrify.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff with Seers. Okay, on to Star Chart. Star Chart costs 3. When you shuffle, you may pick one of the cards to go on top.
You just always buy it.
You always buy it. If you're not opening it,
No,
you're
no,
getting
no.
it on turn 3, 4, and if you don't, GG, easy, you lose. I don't know. It seems like a great idea to guarantee top decking something instead of having it not top deck. I don't know. Might be good. Might be good.
The only time you don't want it is if you're playing like Delve Tower.
The only time you don't want it is if you're like playing Donate. Because you're donating immediately.
Then
you
you'll probably
top
still
deck
get
your
it
donut.
later.
Yeah, you probably still get it later. Yeah, Star Chart's pretty good. There's talk about Star Chart rebuild, but I don't think that's a thing. I'm not sure if it's a thing. It might be slightly
It's
better.
Probably is. Like,
It's probably good.
It helps. I mean,
Just that
Yeah.
rebuild isn't that good to begin with, but Star
Yeah.
Chart makes it better, I think.
Okay. I mean, I
how
think...
about Golem?
Ooh, Golem, yeah. You can use it to guarantee... you can control your golems a little bit. I mean...
Having golems.
You can
helps
control
always
your
good.
golems a little bit in an uncontrollable way, but you can control them a little bit.
Problem is that
Nobody
Golem
will ever
always
play
hides at the
Golem
bottom.
In real life again.
Huh?
No, it can't.
Imagine playing Golem in real life with this thing.
Awful. So awful. Ugh, I don't even want to think about it. Okay, well, I don't want to ever play with Golem in real life. That's the problem. Not Star Chart. Yeah, it's Star Chart's good, in my opinion. It's probably the best project that's been revealed.
Open this or Smithy or something that draws, and man, you see your Smithy turn 3, turn 4, turn 5.
Yeah, you'll cycle right along. You'll probably hit 5. It's yeah, it's just Star Chart's just really good, and you need a really good reason to not open it or get it really early. That's ridiculously good. All right, we're gonna
Yeah,
talk.
why does it only cost 3?
Yeah, it should cost 4 to be honest.
Should cost 5.
Hey, it could cost 5. It'd still be ridiculously strong as heck.
I mean,
Next,
why does Chapel cost 2? It's the same thing, you know.
so we're gonna talk about Citadel. This
Yeah,
is
but
the second to last, and this is, and I'm saving the 6 cost one for last because that seems to be the one that everyone likes talking about. So I decided to leave that one for last. But we're gonna talk about Citadel. It cost 8. The first time you play an action card during each of your turns, play it again afterwards. I think this card is good, but not as good as it first sounds. Because, well, what's the first card you're gonna play? Probably
taking all
not
my
a
wind.
probably not a draw card.
Taking all my wind out of the water.
Sorry.
Yeah, the problem is that you can't really use it on payload most of the time. So unless you're
Yeah.
playing with like grand market payload,
Think
it's
about
really just
what's the
reliability.
What's the first card usually you play in your engine? It's the village or the cantrips, and they are the least exciting to thrown.
Yeah, that'd be my worry. I mean, Citadel Lab is nice, but then you're just playing 2 labs, like woohoo.
I mean, it's pretty great with throwing.
2 labs and a village, yeah.
Yeah, I think this project's a bit overrated. It's a nice consistency though, for sure. It's a good way to get more villages working. But yeah, I would be a little worried about. Like, I've never been all that excited about Citadel because of that. Like, ooh, I spent $8 to throne a village or a cantrip. I don't know.
I mean, $8 is just so much money. It's a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, although at the
Buy a
same
whole
time,
province.
although at the same time, like, let's be honest, Inheritance is a full $7.
Inheritance
is
does
great.
not.
Inheritance is a lot of money. but you see a lot of people go for it. So maybe
It also does
7 is a
something
lot more than this. 7 is significantly less than 8.
like one.
In terms of the amount of treasure you need to put in your deck to get there.
Yeah, 7 you put a silver and a smithy in your deck and you hit 7.
So yeah, that would be my worry with Citadel. I think it's more a consistency thing. Like, oh, I don't want to buy Province, but I have nothing better to buy, which is weird, because there's always something better to buy. I feel like I'm really underestimating this one. Like, I really do.
Now, where it gets interesting is Citadel as your only village.
I got a confession.
All right.
I never bought it during the previous.
Me neither. I bought it.
I didn't even have a board with it.
I played it in playtesting, but I never bought it during the preview week ever.
Like all
I just
my
never.
preview games were just.
I never had a point where I'm just like, I want a Citadel, and that's just me underrating it. Probably it's probably great, but I'm just not feeling it. I don't know why. Maybe it was like, if it were like the second time you play an action card during each of your turns, I think it would be a lot better, which is weird. But
And you better don't summon a remake when you have this.
Ow.
I feel like it just has to be good, but it's a steep price to pay.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. I'm trying to struggle. It's really good with rebuild, I guess. Except you have to hit 8 first. Good luck. I'm gonna just turn into the next card. All right, so this is the last card. Yeah,
if you buy this over Province in a rebuild,
you're
man,
just dumb.
doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Either you win anyway.
I was joking.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk about innovation. It costs 6. The first time you gain
It's a really good game.
Display a card.
The first
check a
time.
card.
Yeah. Every time I see this card, I think of innovation, the card game. The first time you gain an action card in each of your turns, you may set it aside if you do play it. So you're not going to. I think this is the. I don't think you can gain a death card and set it aside and play it, right? Because there's the. It's like the summon rule. I can't remember if that works for this or not. It's like the set aside clause, but then it gets covered.
Like with experiment.
But then you're gaining the action card and it tucks it immediately, and then there's the 2 ruins. But I'd have to. I don't. What a headache. Who cares?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's
okay.
the same as
Okay.
summon.
All right.
Anyway.
Good. Let's talk about innovation and why it's interesting.
Is it interesting?
Yeah, very.
No,
I mean, it's a fun Lost City variant.
Out of the 6, it's the most. It's the most tricky one where you think about what really can I do with it. The other cards are kind of obvious.
Well, I will say I have bought this and I didn't regret it.
Really, I haven't played with it even, so.
Man, well you're well, just think. Anytime you gain an action card, like you gain an imp, you can play it immediately. Oh, you buy a junk dealer turn whatever. Okay, you just play it immediately. Okay, that's not a great example because
Whenever I gain an imp, it's always the night phase.
yeah, but then you can play
I
it.
want to do in the night phase.
You can play it, reveal mountebank, play mountebank. Ooh, that's nice. Like there's things you can do.
Any attack.
Yeah. Anything that gives plus buy, you're just getting a refund, which is nice.
Yeah, and you could do mid-turn gains. Like that's another thing. Like you can play your workshop. Okay, well what are you gonna play your workshop as? Poacher. Okay, that works. Now it's now your workshop became a poacher, more or less.
With mid-turn gains, this is really good. Yeah. All gainers make this great.
It makes
But when it's tricky is when you don't have gainers and want to make use out of it in your buy phase.
It's still worth it, because even at worst...
I mean, it depends on the board, I guess.
Alright, well, you got 4 cards to go in your discard. You'd like to cycle. Okay, you buy a smithy. Alright, you play it. You go to the end of your shuffle. You might draw a village or 2, but that's okay, because you wanted to go to the end of your shuffle anyway. Like, there's deck control stuff you can do. Oh, you can buy a witch, curse them immediately. That's great. We already mentioned attacks are great. Remodel. Oh wow, you can buy a remodel, use it immediately. There's a lot of nice stuff you can do.
You can buy a rebuild.
You can buy a rebuild.
You can buy a chariot race, gain a victory point because you bought a province before.
You could buy a king's court and then play another action in your hand.
And then you can buy a villa and return to your action.
Yeah, like the possibilities are like limitless with innovation. It's pretty innovative. I'll say that much.
I think it's gonna take years to evaluate it.
Not years. It'll take months.
Light years.
And it'll take months. It'll take months instead of days to evaluate innovation, which I think is fine. But I mean,
light years measures speed, not distance.
I didn't say light years.
You're ready to fight Brock now.
Okay. We've just hit 2 hours, which is great because we just finished all the cards and chat's pretty tuckered out. I can tell. I'm tired. Everyone's tired. We've done it, everybody. We've talked about all the cards.
I am arty tired.
This expansion is pretty cool.
It is. It's a pretty nice expansion. I can't wait to see the rest of the... Oh wait, I already have. Everybody else can't.
Wait to see the rest of it.
Yeah, everybody else can't wait to see the rest of the cards. So yeah, you're gonna have to wait until the end of October. But yeah, this has been our everybody's hot take. People just come in and leave. Well, that didn't really happen, but in theory, it could have happened. People just came in and gave their opinions, and it was a good time for all. Thanks everybody for watching.
Please join Discord if you haven't.
Yeah, please do that. Link will be in the description. Join the Dominion Discord, and talk with us because we're lonely. We need people to play with. We're really sad.
And we need
We're
people
running
to
out of
spectate.
ways to make fun of separates.
Yeah, I'm so lonely that the only even being made fun of is validation enough. All right. I'm gonna go sob in a corner now, and Xerix will celebrate his victory over RTT, and that's it. Thanks everybody. Bye.